All right. So welcome to our Lunch and Learn today, the last in our Domestic Violence Awareness Month series, 5 of 5. Today we'll be talking about community resource overview. We have several agencies here to join us to talk about the different services they offer that can also provide services to those who have experienced family violence. So I'll let them introduce themselves as we get to each of their slides. But to start us off today, I wanted to talk a little bit about what the Family Violence Coordinating Council is. So I know that unless you're kind of in this all day, every day, you may not know what the difference is between the FVCC and the DVCC and kind of the way that all the different agencies interact together. So the Family Violence Coordinating Council is funded by ICEJA, so it is a state grant. And the purpose of the FVCC, which we call it, is to provide kind of a forum or a large group to improve the institutional, professional, and community response to family violence, including child abuse, domestic abuse, and elder abuse. So the nice thing about the FVCC is that it's not specifically intimate partner based like many of our federal grants are. So it does allow us to expand into issues such as child abuse or sexual assault. The other nice thing is the FVCC can be like a stopgap for many things. So if there's something specific a grant's not working on, or a specific agency, the FVCC often can pick that up or can help support any sort of projects that are happening. So throughout the state, councils provide education and prevention. So that's why you see us doing a lot of trainings, development of resources. We can help coordinate interventions and services, although the FVCC itself does not provide any sort of direct services. And then we also work closely with the legal system. All FVCCs have to be chaired by a judge throughout the state. Our judge is Judge Clifford, as many of you know. And we also have one of the longest running FVCCs in the state since 1994, so almost 30 years now. The FVCC is broken up into several subcommittees. So we have our larger steering committee, which I always like to explain kind of serves as the umbrella of the FVCC and guides some of the projects and things that we work on. And under that umbrella, there's different subcommittees. So we do have a Boone County subcommittee because the FVCC is the full circuit. Our circuit, the 17th, is Boone and Winnebago. So Boone County addresses matters in Boone County. We also have the Child and Youth Safety Committee. They do a lot of work around child abuse prevention and awareness, teen dating violence, and other projects that fall under youth response. We have an Underserved Populations Committee. Primarily, we're focused on what kind of OVW or other grantors call underserved populations. So we're talking about communities of color, LGBTQIA plus survivors, immigrant survivors, and also older adult survivors. We have a Domestic Violence Awareness Month committee, which just finished up because today is the last day of DV Awareness Month. And then we also have a training committee that helps plan and provide supports to the various trainings that you see. And if you've seen any of our recent resources around those myths and facts cards, that all came out of the Underserved Populations Committee. So the last thing I'll say is there's room for everybody to be involved. So we're always looking for more people to sit on our committees with fresh ideas. So there's 2 QR codes here that you can scan. We have a mailing list. So if you are not on that, I encourage you to be. That's where you'll get notice of all of our upcoming trainings, resources, etc. And then we also have a Facebook page, which you can follow and share our content. So any questions about the FVCC before I turn it over? I don't see anything, Taylor, in the chat. Okay. All right. Great. With that, then I'm going to turn it over to Dominique from the Family Peace Center. And Dominique, I will try my best to follow along with you, but if you need me to advance, just let me know.
No problem. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Dominique Shihama, and I am currently an intake crisis navigator here at the Rockford Family Peace Center. So I work mostly at the front desk, answering phones, doing intakes, things like that. So yeah, we'll go to my next one. So I have basically what we're going to be talking about is just a little bit about the Family Peace Center. And then also at the end, we'll have a little bit of a virtual tour for anyone who hasn't been able to see our space yet. So really the Family Peace Center is based off of a family justice center model. So that means we kind of have these two different parts. So on the right-hand side where it talks about what the work we do with directly with survivors. So clients are able to come in, kind of talk about what's going on. We're able to meet that kind of immediate need, crisis, and get what they need at that moment. And then also we have our partner agencies who are able to connect with some long-term support services, whether that's because they're leaving right now or they have left and kind of what supports they need going forward. Really the biggest thing that I kind of want to talk about, because I know a lot of people are familiar with our service, is just that a lot of times there's language of like the Family Peace Center can provide XYZ to survivors. And I really want to make sure that we're giving due credit to our partners. And so it's not that the Family Peace Center is giving a lawyer or providing an apartment. We're working with the wonderful agencies that are already exist in our community. And then those agencies are the ones who are providing. So if someone needs legal support, they most often are working with Prairie State or NIU. If they got their first month's rent deposit done, that's probably through the city of Rockford. That's not necessarily something that we at the center did versus like the case management we offer directly to survivors, support groups, and a variety of wellness opportunities. So we're kind of at the core, but then all of our partner agencies are like these little spokes on the wheel to help support the work that we do. And we, wouldn't be able to do what we do without their work and dedication to our people. Okay, Nikki, you can go to the next one. So we put together here just kind of we have over 30 partner agencies at this point. We are lucky enough to have a good amount of those support partner agencies as well be full-time in our building. So Remedies does have a legal advocate that's here full-time to help with orders of protection. We do have the domestic violence unit, the detective unit here in our building as well to take reports or even just meet with people in a safe space. They can also do their interviews here, which is really nice. We also have a full-time Prairie State representative who can do intakes and meet with clients, which is awesome. And a variety of the counseling partners either are here full-time or at least hold space one day a week. Okay. And then again, some of the more some of the additional partners as far as housing and youth-based services. So again, we have so many partner agencies that we just want to make sure we're setting expectations to know that like we're partnering with them and that, we are going to do the best that we can to support all of our survivors, but we do have to work within the confines of these other agencies as well. So this next portion here is just a virtual tour. So hopefully this is helpful so you guys can have an idea of what our space looks like. So over here we have the reception. So on the left-hand side, that's like normally where I work. And so we're able to do screens. We can kind of make sure that people are appropriate to come into the space. So we'll go ahead and do that ahead of time. And then we have a very small waiting area, but if people just need to wait because there's a line, or if they have support people who don't want to come into the space, they have a comfortable space they can stay with and wait for the person that they came with, which is nice. Okay, the next one. So this is our waiting space. So it really was built to feel more like a living room than necessarily your typical like clinical waiting room setting. Everything that we put into this building was based off of our Voices Committee. So they lent a lot of their own lived experience and what they wanted, a center to feel like, what they thought would be most comfortable for them when they were going through it and what they thought would be best for survivors as they're coming through. So this is, like I said, secured. So you have to be, let in by front staff in order to get to this portion of the space. And survivors a lot of times will just kind of sit here also and just have a safe, calm space. And next here we have the children's space. So this is our younger kid space. We have a lot of different type of sensory things for kiddos. There's blocks, dolls. What you can't see is there's also a changing table. So if moms need to change their young ones, they have that. And then the rocking chair in case we have any nursing mothers as well. So we have the teen space here, which was designed by Molly Kahn of Concept Design. So we purchased the materials, but she did donate like her time, services of what she thought would be good for the space. And I think it turned out really nicely. As you can imagine, the Xbox is very popular with our kids, but it really does help where any time where mom has to be here an extended period of time, you know, doing orders of protection, maybe, you know, trying to figure out transportation, those things, you know, they have enough to hopefully keep them occupied. These are intake spaces. So again, two private spaces that we're able to do our intakes or just meet clients on ongoing spaces. Again, that real kind of warm home feel. And then we have our counseling room, which is utilized mostly by family counseling services. OSF Trauma Center comes in, and this is a bookable space. So any of our partners can book it. A lot of the survivors really like it. This is our children's play therapy room, and that's utilized again mostly by family counseling services. We also have a therapist through Bright Point, and so they're able to do very children specific for our young kiddos because they can see them as young as like 3 years old. So this works really well for the children of that age group. And so at the right here is just if anyone has any questions, you know, I can answer some right now. Otherwise, I do have our contact information. The only thing I ask is that email is like our general email. So, you know, don't put any client specific things in there. If you have anything like that, just give us a call. But if you want to schedule a tour yourself or you just have some general questions about our services, feel free to email that as well.
Thanks, Dominique. Are there any questions? No. All right. Well, I think Dominique will stick around. So if something pops up, she will be here. All right. With that, then we'll turn it over to Becky Winstead from Remedies. Becky, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, thanks. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so I'm Becky Winstead, Vice President of Domestic Violence Services with Remedies. We are a multi-service agency. So we assist with issues related to drug and alcohol use, addiction, mental health issues, and domestic violence. But today I'm just talking about domestic violence services. So all of our services for survivors of domestic violence are free, confidential, and voluntary. Meaning that an individual can pick and choose what they want to use. They're not required to utilize a duration or a certain number of services. People do not need to, for instance, they don't need to use shelter to access another service or vice versa. So our service area is Winnebago and Boone counties, and we do have offices in where our main facility is in Rockford, just off of State Street. But we have staff located at the Winnebago County Courthouse, in what we call the DVAC or Domestic Violence Assistance Center. We have an advocate, as Dominique mentioned. We have one full-time advocate working at Family Peace Center, and then we also have an office in Boone County as well. But also all of our services, in addition to be voluntary and confidential, are trauma-informed, survivor-centered, really based on what each individual feels is right for them, what they need. The survivors are the experts in their lives, so they get to choose what options are best, and we just try to support survivors in that process. So we don't require or expect each person to get an order of protection or file for divorce or leave that relationship, because they know best what's safest for them and what timeline might be appropriate for them. So we provide a lot of support and options and support related to those options. All of our services are available in person, via phone, and Zoom, and that includes all of our counseling and therapy. Obviously, shelter is an in-person service, but I'll go over in more detail the specific services in just a minute. Can you go back for just a second? Sorry. The last point I just put on here because it's kind of a misunderstanding sometimes that services maybe are only available for women, or shelter is only available for women or people who identify as female, and that's not the case. All of our services in our domestic violence program all survivor services are available for any survivor of intimate partner violence. So any gender identity, any sexual orientation, any age. We also don't have a restriction on the age of kids that can be in shelter. That's kind of a myth or misunderstanding at times. So I just wanted to put that out there and be clear about that. Okay, we can move ahead, Nikki. Thank you. Okay, so the next two slides just give brief points of our of the services that we offer. So we have our 24-hour hotline. That phone number is on there. We also offer a 24-hour shelter. We're currently operating at a capacity of 55 individuals in shelter. Sorry, my phone's ringing. 55 adults and kids at any time in our emergency shelter. Again, that's survivors of intimate partner violence, and then their vulnerable family members, children, etc. We provide legal assistance, legal advocacy, primarily in the form of order of protection assistance through in person in the DVAC at the courthouse office, and then our advocate Janita, who works full-time in the Family Peace Center, assists with orders of protection and using the remote or virtual option that the court has. And then we provide other domestic violence counseling, advocacy, and support, safety planning, case management, help with navigating systems, referrals to other agencies, dealing with the abuse that they've experienced. And then in addition to that advocacy type support, we have 2 domestic violence therapists who provide services for adults and children. Okay, you can move ahead. And then we provide support groups for survivors, and we have those available in person and virtually. Our children's services, basically to provide age-appropriate safety planning, education, and support related to domestic violence. We offer that service in both Boone and Winnebago County. So we have multiple children's staff who provide those age-appropriate services for shelter residents and non-residential. In our transition housing program, we have 27 apartment units for individuals or families. And so that's a 2-year program, or up to 2 years, that the individuals or families can stay in the transitional housing. We will be, pretty soon, we will be offering a small amount of rapid rehousing rental assistance as well. We're kind of finalizing those details to get started with that. All of those referrals will have to come through the single point of entry process through the city of Rockford. But we will be able to assist a small number of families through that rental assistance soon. And then we also operate Partner Abuse Intervention Program, which is a series of groups for people who have been abusive in their intimate partner relationships. We currently operate 8 separate weekly groups for that program. And then in addition to that, we do presentations, outreach, and training related to domestic violence, dating violence, healthy relationships, and things like that. So in the schools and in the community. Here's our contact information. So that's a 24-hour hotline. The top, the second number, is the office in the Winnebago County Courthouse, or DVAC. And so that's open during business hours. Our Boone County office, we have representatives for our substance use disorder treatment program, mental health, and domestic violence out there. And for domestic violence staff, we have 2 advocates, one who primarily meets with kids and one who primarily meets with children. And then there's a number to contact regarding our paper services. And then I think, yeah, and then there's just my contact information and our website if you have other need other information. So if anyone have questions now, or ask me at the end.
Thanks, Becky. Any questions? I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay.
All righty. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Anna Grzelek from Children's Safe Harbor. I see you, Anna. Take it away.
Hi, Nikki. Hi, everybody. Hi, my name is Anna Grzelek. I'm the Exchange Services Supervisor here at Children's Safe Harbor. And this picture is a picture of our new location. So we recently moved and we are now located at 1340 South Alpine. So the Forest City Church Mall area, we're located in between Lifescape. You can kind of see Lifescape's sign to the left there, and then the Share Stuff retail store on the right. So we're super happy to be there. It's a really nice location, and we love our new Dick's. And if you haven't seen it yet, please feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to give you a tour. Okay, next slide. So Children's Safe Harbor's mission is to provide safe exchange and supervised visitation services. Our goal is to lessen the harmful effects of domestic violence for both adult and child victims through programming that is provided in a safe and supportive environment in which abusive behavior is acknowledged, while promoting relationships between parents and children without the risk of fear, intimidation, and post-separation abuse. We believe in providing all services through a trauma-informed lens. All clients will be treated with dignity and respect, whether they are the survivor, child, or person that caused harm. We believe everyone should live in a violence-free world, and we work to create a violence-free agency that people can come to for our services. We receive referrals mainly from 3 different ways, either through a court order, more than likely that's through a family case or an order of protection case. Excuse me. We also get agency referrals. Any of the agencies on today's call or any agency in the community can provide a referral to us for a family that might be in need of services. We also get a lot of referrals through DCFS. And also people can refer themselves. So if both parents are agreeable to be able to do services through Children's Safe Harbor, they can refer themselves as well. So this is a picture of our new visitation room and our new location. And so this is where supervised visits take place. So if a parent is court ordered or to only have supervised visits with us or came to us through one of the other 2 referral ways, then they would be scheduled to have an hour a week or biweekly of supervised visits. And this is the room that would take place. And there would be a Children's Safe Harbor staff member in the room, the visiting parent, and then the child. And as you can see, there's, can't see them, a lot of them, but there's some toys in there. We also have a separate area where we do check-ins with the kids before and after the visit. And there's additional toys and games. And we now have a brand new snack station that we just set up. So as long as the child doesn't have any allergies or limited on what they can have, we have snacks and juice and water available as well. So we're super excited about the new snack station. And that's where the visits take place. This is the enrollment process. So parents need to call Children's Safe Harbor to schedule an intake appointment. Sometimes parents think that if there is a court order that the court automatically contacts us, but that's not the case. We rely on the parents to call us directly, and they would schedule the intake. We would schedule the intake appointment with them. Then we would do each intake appointment separately, and then we would have the child or children brought to Children's Safe Harbor before they begin services so that we can do an orientation process with them. We walk them through, we let them see, and we explain to them exactly what they could expect so that they know before they come for the very first visit what they can expect. And we do that both also for exchange services as well. So these gives you an idea of the 2 waiting room areas that we have. So we have 2 separate entrances, one entrance on one side of the building and one on the other, so that there's no line of sight in between the 2 entrances. And the waiting room area on the left there is the front entrance. That's mostly where the visiting parent or the non-residential parent would enter. And then the photo on the right is the back entrance area, and that's mostly where the custodial parent or residential parent would arrive. We have staggered arrival times also, so that for everyone's safety, we have those precautions. We also have locked doors within. So when you walk down the hallway, you can see a door on the picture to the right that goes down the hallway, and that hallway leads to where the front entrance is and another doorway, and only staff have codes for those doors. So that's another way, another security precaution that has been taken in our new location. Okay, these are our hours of operation. For supervised visitation services, we're offering Tuesday through Friday, 2 to 8 p.m. Right now we have Tuesdays up and running. We also have Saturdays and Sundays up and running. We are currently working on scheduling Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. So Wednesdays are almost done, then they'll be working on scheduling visits on Thursdays and Fridays. There currently is a waiting list. They're working through the waiting list and getting those intakes scheduled with the parents that are on the waiting list. For safe exchanges, for safe exchanges, we're open Wednesday through Friday, 4 to 8 p.m. just changing our exchange hours on Saturdays from 11 to 7, so that supervised and exchange services have the same operating hours on Saturdays, and then on Sundays from 12 to 8 p.m. Okay, and this is our contact information. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you may have. Just trying to give you a brief general overview today, but please don't hesitate to reach out with any additional questions, or if you'd like to come and visit us and do a tour. Thank you.
Anna, any questions for Anna before we move on? No, all right. I am going then to turn it over to RAMP. We have Deanna Robbins here. I know I saw her, so whenever you're ready, Deanna, you can take it over.
Hi, yes, this is Deanna Robbins. I'm the OVW project coordinator for RAMP. I am a white female with reddish straight hair today, mostly straight. I am wearing a black Halloween t-shirt with a black cardigan and a Halloween scarf and some sparkly pumpkin earrings. My pronouns are she, her. So as I said, I work for RAMP, and I'm on a grant project that is at the intersection of DV and disability. A little information about RAMP is our former name is Regional Access and Mobilization Project. We often get asked if we're an acronym and what that stands for. It's really only for certain legal purposes at this point, so we're basically just RAMP. We are a Center for Independent Living, or a CIL. CILs provide support for all people living with disabilities, regardless of disability type, age, or economic status. CILs are run by and for the people they serve. So more than half of our staff and board are comprised of individuals with disabilities. Right now, RAMP is sitting more at like 3/4 of our staff. I think we're in the 70 percentile now of our staff being individuals with disabilities. We're driven by the philosophy that people with disabilities have the right to make their own life decisions and the opportunity to participate fully and equally in their communities. RAMP started in 1980 in Rockford. We were the second CIL in Illinois. Our mission is building an inclusive community that encourages individuals with disabilities to reach their full potential. And again, we observe the independent living philosophy. So we are very consumer driven, and we follow primarily that social model of disability. We serve Boone, DeKalb, Stevenson, and Winnebago counties with offices in DeKalb, Freeport, and Rockford. We do not currently have a physical location in Belvedere, though we do serve the area. Some of our programs, such as our employment services, do branch out and expand into other counties. Some cover the entire state, so it kind of just depends. You can go forward, Nikki. But we do have our 5 core services. So every Center for Independent Living offers information and referral, independent living skills, peer support, education and advocacy, and transition services. To be eligible for these, you just have to be a person who identifies as having a disability. It does not have to be diagnosed. You do not have to prove that to us. You do have to live within one of the 4 county areas outside of those other programs, and then have a desire to work with us to achieve goals. So again, we're consumer driven. We're going to work with you. If you don't want to work on anything, then you don't have to. We have so many programs and services, as you can see, that I'm not going to go through the entire list. But we have everything from birth into later in life. Basically, whatever you can think of, if it's disability related, call us. We'll help support you with it. So we have programs that take place in school. We have programs that take place for employment, for community living, recreation, whatever it may be. It could be assistive technology. Like I said, again, if you have any sort of question related to independent living, disability, community services, or otherwise, feel free to call us. I do have kind of highlighted on this list at the end there, we have 2 grant projects that I'm currently facilitating. One is through the Office of Violence Against Women, and we are partnered in Winnebago County with a lot of the organizations that are here today, working again at that intersection. And then we have another newer project through United Way in Stevenson County, which is mirroring the same. So domestic violence, sexual assault, and disability at that intersection. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, again, depending on the program, some specific programs have different requirements and eligibility. So whatever someone might be looking for, that would just be a conversation they could have with us. We take referrals however they come at us. You can self-refer, you can go through another agency. We have a lot of warm handoffs within the community. So you can call. We have a referral form online on our website. You can also pop in. Our offices are open to the public. However, we have varying office hours. So you'll want to make sure that you check that depending on where you're at. So in our Rockford office, which covers Boone and Winnebago counties, it's Monday through Thursday, 9 to 4 p.m., Friday, 9 to noon. Our Freeport office is 8 to 3, Monday through Thursday, 8 to noon on Friday. And then DeKalb is by appointment only, because they're in a shared building. So it is just easier to make appointments. Appointments are strongly recommended because our staff work both remote and in the office. So that's not guaranteed that someone you're working with is going to be in the office if you stop by unannounced. And I think that was it. Tried to squeeze it all in there, Nikki.
No, you did great. Thank you, Deanna. Any questions for Deanna before we move on to the ARC? No. All right, Amy Newell.
Well,
I can't see anyone. Are you there?
I'm there.
Hi.
So good morning. I'm Amy Newell. I'm the executive director of the ARC of Winnebago, Boone, and Ogle County. You want to go to the next one? Yep. Our vision is a society for all, equal access, equal opportunity, and empowerment. We serve people with intellectual and developmental disabilities through advocacy and support. Ooh, that was more of a mouthful than it needed to be here this afternoon. So what that means is a lot of different things. We obviously serve people who have intellectual and developmental disabilities through the age ranges. I think that's what you were going to next, Nikki. Really throughout their lifespan with whatever assistance they may need. If you want to go to the next slide. This is just a list of the services that we offer. We have a home-based support program or service facilitation, which is through the Medicaid home-based waiver program. That's actually a state-funded program where people have to be pulled from a waiting list. We're happy to get people connected to that waiting list so that they have as short a wait as possible on the waiting list. Then we have guardianship assistance, money management, life skills classes, project art, social activities, and then advocacy. And then I'm just going to talk briefly about each one. Guardianship is we actually do a whole training on guardianship that's 2 hours long. I'm obviously not going to take that long to talk about guardianship assistance. If anybody has an individual who they believe they need to obtain guardianship for, they should reach out to us and we can walk them through that. We do this at a low cost to our clients through grants and fundraising. We have a lawyer in the 3 counties that this program serves, Winnebago, Boone, and Ogle, that work with us, and basically they get half of what we charge. The other half is for our staff person to really hold that family's hand, walk them through all of the beginning of their questions, finding out really if guardianship is the answer. We often say that guardianship should not be the first answer, but that's a whole different conversation. So we try and work with families from beginning to end, and then we help them with their annual resubmissions for guardianship assistance. Next slide. Money management or representative payee is probably one of the areas where when you talk about individuals who are survivors of domestic violence that they may need help with. If there's somebody who has a disability and they have been victimized, then sometimes the way people with intellectual and developmental disabilities are manipulated is through their money. And so we provide representative payee service for individuals who may need that. Again, it's quite the process, but we are happy to help people with that in any way that we can. And if anyone has someone that they think may need this, please reach out to us and we can help with that. Next slide. Our life skills classes are wide ranging and we offer them year round. Healthy relationships in health and wellness and emotional regulation are really popular ones. We think that the healthy relationships is one that a lot of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities who are survivors of domestic violence often benefit from in understanding, setting appropriate boundaries, and really being okay with saying no to people. Often people with disabilities haven't had a lot of sex education, and that's where this class comes in with helping our individuals to know their rights when it comes to their sexual health. Next slide. Project Art is just a social opportunity for our individuals, well, social and financial, but it's a great opportunity. We offer classes every day of the week. We've had a number of participants in our art programs who use it as a therapeutic outlet. Our current art coordinator is not a licensed therapist. However, as most of us know, art is a great therapy tool, and we try and help people through that if that's what they need it to be. Next slide. And then, of course, our social activities, really, these are based around what our clients tell us they want. We started a book club that meets twice a month. We have one in the afternoon, one in the evening. That started through two young ladies talking about books they were reading at one of our rec nights. We do rec nights 4 times a year. Obviously, movie nights. Action Club is a volunteer organization through Kiwanis that we are the advisors for. And then we do different community group outings, as you can see here by the lower level picture. A young man was throwing out the first pitch at a Rivets game. And then, of course, our advocacy. And this is to preserve and protect fundamental rights of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We often are communicating with elected officials, supporting self-advocacy, doing free education to the public, trainings, and then our criminal justice work through our disability response team and our different pathways to justice training that we've done, as well as partnering with our police and fire and judicial system in trying to make sure that our families and our individuals understand the criminal justice system and their piece of it, and where they can really be their own advocates, but where we can also assist them if something happens to them. And then, of course, just our community outreach is our training for families, professionals, future planning, parent-to-parent connections, Illinois Imagine Transition Planning Committee. We are obviously associated with the ARC of Illinois and the ARC of the US, and then our disability response team.
Thank you, Amy. Any questions for Amy about the ARC? I threw this in here to show you all an example of some of the work that we have done through the FBCC in partnership with agencies such as RAMP and the ARC. So the Underserved Populations Committee this year created this resource card that talks about the intersection of domestic violence and people with disabilities. And so I think this is a good example of how we can use your expertise, Amy and Deanna, to help inform some of the ways that we're educating the community. If anybody wants a copy of this, I'm happy to share it. All right, winding up here, there's a few agencies that weren't able to be present today that we wanted to highlight. So in our area, we also have Rockford Sexual Assault Counseling, often called RSAC. They have a 24-hour crisis line as listed on your screen. They also offer free counseling to victims of sexual assault or their family members. They offer medical advocacy so they can respond to the hospital. And then they do provide legal advocacy for the civil no contact orders that are filed here in the 17th Circuit. So those are the orders that are for sexual assault cases where the people are not related, they don't have any sort of relationship. We also have Rockford Alliance Against Sexual Exploitation, or RACE. They provide education around human trafficking prevention. They also have a drop-in house that you can refer people to if you are concerned that they're being trafficked. They can take a shower there, get clothes, eat a meal. So if you have any questions about RACE services, you can contact them as listed below, or I'm happy to connect you as well. Other resources, we do have the Carrie Lynn Children's Center. We had a webinar about them earlier this year, I believe. But that's our center where kids who have been sexually abused or abused can go for forensic interviews and counseling. They work closely also with Merit, the Medical Evaluation Response Initiative team, I believe, to complete some of the forensic interviews for child sexual assault and abuse cases. We also learned recently that Carrie Lynn can also do interviews for children who are witnesses of domestic violence. So that's something to keep in mind. We also partner frequently with the YWCA of Northwestern Illinois and their La Voz Latina department. They offer partner abuse services as well. They have classes in Spanish. They have an Illinois Welcome Center and do all sorts of case management and work around people who identify as immigrants. And so there's a lot of intersection also between domestic violence and immigration. And so we're happy to have their partnership as well. And then finally, the Liam Foundation provides advocacy and services to LGBTQIA+ individuals. They also have provided some training for us and provides consultation on resources that we develop. All of these agencies, you can find them through a quick search, or I'm happy to connect you with their contact person should you want more information. But we're definitely lucky to have all of these resources right in our community. And then just to finish up with some national resources. So there's a Illinois Domestic Violence Helpline. There's a national hotline. They all have websites as well. The loveisrespect.org website has a plethora of resources if you're interested in teen dating violence prevention or providing education around that. The Polaris Project is also a really good website to visit if you want more information around human trafficking. And then we have some mental health resources as well, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And I think that's it.